Hello and welcome to Ani's Short Stories. I hope you enjoy this story. I'm going to try and upload a new story each day. Chillerton's Chilling Ghosts. The Isle of Wight's serene countryside often masked its darker secrets, but none were more notorious than those surrounding the village of Chillerton. Tucked away between rolling hills and whispering woods, the village seemed quaint to the casual visitor. Yet Holly Arnold, an investigative journalist with a penchant for the supernatural, knew there was something profoundly unsettling about the place. She arrived late one autumn afternoon, the sun's dying light casting long shadows over the cobbled streets. Holly had heard whispers of Chillerton's chilling past, a series of gruesome events spanning centuries, each more bizarre than the last. The village was said to harbor restless spirits, their stories buried beneath layers of folklore and fear. The Swan's Rest Inn, a Tudor-style building with warped beams and a sagging roof, was her base of operations. Its owner, an elderly woman named Margaret, greeted Holly with a mix of caution and curiosity. "You're not here to stir trouble?" Margaret asked, her eyes narrowing. "Just looking for answers," Holly replied. Margaret sighed. "Well, mind your step." The first night. That night, Holly pored over her notes in the dimly lit inn. The accounts were fragmented: a 17th-century plague victim buried alive, a witch trial ending in a fiery execution, and a Victorian child who vanished without a trace. The village's history read like a catalogue of misery. Around midnight, a chill seeped into the room despite the roaring fire. Holly heard faint whispers, as though a dozen voices spoke just beyond the range of comprehension. Grabbing her recorder, she ventured into the hallway. The whispers grew louder, guiding her to the staircase. A figure stood at the base of the stairs. It was a woman in tattered 18th-century attire, her eyes hollow and her face streaked with soot. Holly froze, her breath hitching as the figure raised a hand pointing toward the village square. Then, just as suddenly as she had appeared, the woman vanished. Sleep was elusive that night, and when Holly finally drifted off, her dreams were vivid and disturbing. She saw scenes of the village past, torchlit mobs, desperate screams, and shadowy figures skulking in the woods. Each vision left her feeling more entangled in Chillerton's dark legacy. The plague victim's lament. The next morning, Holly interviewed the locals, carefully avoiding any mention of her ghostly encounter. Most were tight-lipped, but an old man named Edgar finally spoke. "You've seen her, haven't you?" Holly nodded. Edgar's voice lowered. "That's Mary Hinshaw. She was a healer accused of witchcraft during the plague. They burned her alive, thinking she cursed the village, but it wasn't her. It was the vicar who spread the sickness. He used tainted communion wine." Armed with this revelation, Holly visited the church. Inside, she found a hidden ledger behind the altar. The faded entries detailed the vicar's macabre experiment to cleanse the sinful. As she read, the air grew icy, and the sound of faint coughing echoed through the empty nave. That night, Mary's spirit appeared again, this time nodding in gratitude before dissolving into a cascade of embers. Holly's relief was short-lived, as a sudden scream pierced the night. She rushed to the village square, finding it emptied but for a bloody handprint on the well stone edge. The trial of the witch. As days turned into weeks, Holly uncovered more of Chillerton's morbid history. In the forest, she encountered the spirit of a young woman named Eliza, accused of witchcraft by her jealous sister. Eliza's trial had been a sham, a means to seize her inheritance. Guided by Eliza's spectral whispers, Holly discovered an old chest buried beneath the oak trees. Inside were letters proving Eliza's innocence and implicating her sister. But as Holly unearthed the chest, the ground beneath her began to tremble. A deep groan emanated from the earth, and spectral figures emerged from the shadows, their faces twisted in silent agony. Holly fled, clutching the letters. When she finally reached the village, Margaret was waiting for her. "You've disturbed them." That night, Eliza's anguished cries echoed through the village. Holly spent hours arranging for the documents to be sent to historians and lawyers, hoping to clear Eliza's name posthumously. When the letters were finally published, the village's collective guilt seemed to lift, and the ghostly apparitions faded into the forest. The vanished child. The final spirit was that of Timothy, the Victorian boy who had disappeared. Village is believed he was taken by fairies, a common superstition at the time. However, Timothy's ghost led Holly to an abandoned well, where she unearthed a small skeleton wrapped in a decayed blanket. The evidence pointed to a local magistrate, a man who had abused his power to cover up a crime of passion. But as Holly dug deeper, she uncovered more sinister details. The magistrate had been part of a secret society that performed rituals in the woods, sacrificing children to ensure their wealth and power. Timothy had been one of their victims. Holly's articles brought national attention to Chillerton. Each revelation seemed to weaken the supernatural grip on the village. Yet the discovery of the secret society's journal hinted at other atrocities, leaving Holly haunted by the depth of human cruelty. The last goodbye. On her final night in Chillerton, Holly stood in the square, the air heavy with anticipation. One by one, the spirits appeared, their forms shimmering in the moonlight. They nodded at Holly, their faces no longer twisted in pain but serene with gratitude. As the clock struck midnight, the spirits vanished, leaving Chillerton eerily quiet. Holly felt a profound sense of closure, not just for the ghosts but for herself. She had pieced together their stories, bringing light to the darkness. Yet, as she drove away, Holly couldn't shake the feeling that Chillerton's secrets ran deeper still. The road twisted through the misty countryside, and in her rearview mirror she thought she saw a figure standing at the village's edge, watching her leave. This time the figure didn't vanish. Its eyes glowed faintly in the dark, and Holly's hands tightened on the wheel. Perhaps not all spirits rest so easily. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this story. Please don't forget to like, and even better, like and subscribe. Thank you very much, and I hope you have had or have a great day.